want to welcome everybody to Southfield this morning to the groundbreaking of Wellspring Apartments, another recovery housing development that we've done in conjunction working with the treatment court system. As you'll see, a whole host of people who have participated in this. I'm Mark McDaniel, the CEO of Cinnaire. We're the investor in this development. We've invested a little over $10 million into this development. It's about $30 million total development cost. We have been working for now almost 9 years when this idea came up about recovery housing and working with treatment courts. This has never been done before. This model, the first one we did was in Andy's place in Jackson. We just had the grand opening of the second phase of that development. That development is for pregnant women and mothers who have addictions, and it rented up in 30 days. I just got notice last week that it's fully rented. And we had that when we had the grand opening, one of the mothers that was going to speak, she wrote a letter because she went that morning to the hospital to give birth to twins. And she wrote this really special letter to everybody about the impact that development's had in a very short period of time for her. Another mother talked about being reunited with her children who have been taken away from her. She had felonies, she had addictions, kind of the list of all kinds of issues. She got in to our development and got her kids back, and she's well on her way now for recovery. That is just a couple of little stories about what this development here is going to provide. In Jackson, the recidivism in the Jackson development is less than 1%, which is unheard of, and that's after 3 years. So this model, there's something with it that works. This is our third development now that we've worked with. We brought in what's now known as MiSide. It's taken so long to get this development done. They had a totally different name a few years ago. But you know, we originally started out in Farmington Hills, and we got connected into Oakland County through Ken Daniels and Lisa Daniels Goldman, her husband Ken Goldman. I want to recognize Lisa and Ken. They're here. They came right there. They were the catalyst for getting our attention to do something in Oakland County, who then introduced us to Dave Coulter, who was the mayor of Ferndale then. That's how long we've been working on this, okay? So we thought it was maybe Ferndale, then he went on to other bigger, greater things. And so we said Farmington Hills, and we spent a lot of time working in Farmington Hills. We thought we had it wrapped up, had some political change there. The partner we had down there changed their mind strategically, and we were kind of all out the door. That was after 2 years of working on something. We had plans done. So working again with Ken and Lisa and their relationship with Dave, and then my relationship, which was Southwest Housing at the time, which is now MiSide. I called them and asked, I know you're doing something in Southfield, which they were. And I said, I'd love to have you a developer. This is the kind of thing they do. We got them to sign up. They took on the development process of this, and it's been, oh, thank you. And here we are. It's been almost 6-year process. And just a tiny little, there's so much to talk about with this, and I'm the worst one to be an MC for this. As my handler over here about waving her arms saying, doing this to me. But it's important to understand, how did we even get here? This process started almost 10 years ago when I got, personally for me, my oldest son was an addict, alcoholic, been in jail, homeless, the whole thing for 8 years. It was a nightmare. He went through treatment court in Ingham County, and that was the beginning of his change. I was able to get him into a permit supportive housing development that we did in Lansing, not for addicts, it was just supportive services. And that became the turnaround of his life. He's been sober now for 9 years. He's been with manager at Myers. This is a result of him when he got out of the treatment court. They hired him, of all things. But then Judge Hoffman, Harvey Hoffman, he's right back here. He calls me out of nowhere and says, "Hey, I got this idea about doing sober housing." And I said, "Well, I got an idea about doing sober housing and permit supportive housing together." And he said, "I want to bring the treatment court system in on this," which has never been done. He and I wrote a paper on it, submitted it to Governor Snyder at the time. He loved it. He said, "Form a task force." So he told MSHDA, "Get on this," told the health department, "Get on this." We brought in our champion, which you're going to hear from later, Mike Hirst, who's from Jackson. His son, Andy, is who the property is named of down there. And we put together, you can imagine working with bureaucracies that have been doing things the same way for 40 years. To come in with an idea like this, it didn't land right away. But we persevered. MSHDA and the health department they changed some policies. That's how we're even here, was that work that we did. So that's a little history, just so you know where this came from. So I want to introduce. Oh, hi. I stalled a long time. I'm not ready yet, but now I'm going to get there. Okay, just a sec. But we couldn't do this without the treatment court system. Okay, we have a number of judges who are here today, who through their involvement with the Michigan Association of Treatment Court Professionals, who has been kind of the coordinator of all this with Harvey and the justice system. We just want to call it's a long list of names, but we wouldn't be here if not for these judges, okay? So I want to recognize David Wallace, who's the MATCP president. Just wave your hand. Judge Harvey Hoffman. Got Oakland County Circuit Court Judge Jeff Mattis. Oakland County Circuit Court Judge Jake Cunningham. 43 District Court Lisa Langenbaser. Sobriety Court Case Manager. Right there. 44th District Court Judge Andrew Kowalkowski. 46th District Court Judge Sheila Johnson. 47th District Court Stacy Mistako, the probation director. 48th District Court Judge Diane D'Agostini. 51st Court Judge Angie Reed, or not judge, but Chief Probation Officer. 52nd-1 District Court Judge David Law. Judge Travis Reeds. Alexandria Black, the court administrator. Dave Campbell, Director of Probation and Coordinator. 52nd-2 District Court Carol Bond, Court Administrator. Andrea Ewan, Treatment Court Probation Officer. And finally, 52nd-4 District Court Judge Maureen McGinnis and Patty Bates, Drug Treatment Court Coordinator. We could not do this work without the support of the court system. So thank you. Now I'm ready. All right. So I want to introduce your representative in Congress from the 12th Congressional District, Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib. Tlaib, I'm sorry. I had, the thing is, I knew that. And I didn't have to practice it before I came. I just knew it because I support what she does. So I'm sorry. obviously, you know, she's a strong advocate for social justice, economic opportunity, equity, and environmental protection. She's been a leading voice for Southeast Michigan families. I'm very happy to see that she can make it for this. This is a special development, and you're a special person.
Thank you very much. As long as if a certain president can't pronounce my name, and I hear he has a hard time with it. Thank you all so much for joining us in this exciting, groundbreaking project. If you all know, I always tell the story of Mayor Siver telling me constantly, you know, all I want is housing. That's all he keeps talking about. Of course, a lot of other various issues come about, creating green space and making sure that our beautiful Southfield is walkable and so much more. But one of the things he is laser focused on is housing. That's all he wanted to talk to me about the first time I ever met him. So I'm incredibly, you know, thrilled because I look at the collaboration, of course, MiSide, which is from the neighborhood I grew up in Southwest Detroit, and Cinnaire, and so many key stakeholders really coming together for true collaboration to make this possible. I'll tell you, the housing crisis is real. The struggle is real. You know, so many of my families are in survivor mode. They're not able to thrive. It's exhausting. Tommy Stallworth and I, we served in the state house, continuing to talk about how, you know, you can't police away poverty, you can't police away mental health crisis, you can't do it doesn't go away. We have to be able to come with thoughtfulness and be able to do restorative justice and so much more. And so thank you for the courts to really want to buy into this process, knowing, again, their dream is to make sure no one shows up again in front of them. But I'm incredibly proud that it's right here. You know, our neighborhood service center is right across the street, so I'm excited to, you know, look out and see the development continue. But it is important to know this groundbreaking is more than start of a construction. It's a start of a vibrant new chapter, I believe, for our city of Southfield to build on a shared commitment of new housing opportunities for all. This is a vision, again, for the mayor and city council members I've met with consistently. Thank you. Thank you for not giving up. And thank you again for the collaboration and, of course, incredible partnership and investment from our county under, of course, the leadership of Coulter. So you make me proud. You know, one of the things I get to do is press that button for funding, but I don't get to do the implementation. And you all know I'm the eldest of 14. I'm a social worker at heart. And I want to see the implementation part of it. So if I come over here and just be like peeking and wondering what's going on, just please give me a little bit of grace. I want to talk about the programming that will be there. Thank you again so much. And I see our incredible state representative here, Jason. Thank you, Jason Haskins. Thank you so much. To all of the residents here, you all make this possible because you give credibility to the need of this being so important. So thank you for that. Again, I really appreciate it. I'm so sorry. I'm never, ever this late. I know Tony was like, what's going on? And I told her and she goes, oh, that's terrible. And I said, we'll talk about it later. But thank you all so much. And again, Southfield, you deserve this. I can't wait to see more. You're going to be shocked. There's going to be more groundbreaking, right, Mayor? We talk about this. Yes. Thank you again. And I look forward to, again, helping as much as I can.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Next, I'd like to introduce Natasha Bagdasarian. I practice that a lot. She's our Michigan's Chief Medical Executive, providing leadership on public health strategy and medical guidance for the Department of Health and Human Services.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks.
Hi, everyone. I am just so thrilled to be here. What a momentous occasion. Thank you to everyone who has worked hard behind the scenes to make this happen today. Now, I am here not only representing the Department of Health and Human Services, but I'm here as a doctor and as the chair of Michigan's Opioid Task Force. And the task force does a couple things. Number one, we are helping to make recommendations on the money that is coming in from opioid settlement dollars to the state of Michigan, $1.8 billion over the next few decades. And that money, half is going to the state, half is going to local jurisdictions, but that money will enable more projects like this to happen, especially as we collaborate and work together. And the task force not only helps to make recommendations about the money, but also brings together people with lived experience and brings together people who are working on the front lines of this. We have been looking at 4 pillars. We've been looking at prevention. And everything that people talk about is, what do we do for our kids? How do we protect our kids from this crisis that is right here facing them? For harm reduction, we are talking about how do we save lives with things like naloxone and reverse overdose deaths. So far, we have distributed over 1.3 million free naloxone kits. We've heard that at least 30,000 of them have been used just in the last couple of years. And we've reduced our overdose rate by 36%. We are the number 5 state in the country in reducing overdose deaths. And that is not just a number. We've saved 1,000 lives in 2024 alone, 1,000 friends and family members. For treatment, we've got to make sure that anyone who wants to be in treatment has an opportunity to be in treatment. We've got to expand our mental health workforce. And then for recovery, we need more places like this. What we have heard time and time again is that folks need safe, secure housing. They need a roof over their heads so that they can remain sober. And I am so grateful for everyone in the community of Southfield, anyone who has had anything to do with this amazing facility groundbreaking. So thank you for all you're doing. We've got a lot of work yet to do. We are not done. We've got more funding coming in. The fiscal year 26 budget has been appropriated. We've got more funds coming to wonderful projects like this. So thank you again.
Next, I'd like to introduce Elizabeth Rademacher, who is in charge of the allocations of low-income housing tax credit at the Michigan State Housing Development Authority. When we first came in with this idea, she was at the table and she's kind of going, I don't know about this. There are a lot of policies we're going to have to change. But once she heard Mike Hirst and some of the other stories about the reality of what we're trying to do, she's been a big champion for us at the Housing Authority to get these developments done, which we really appreciate.
When he talks about bureaucracy, he means me. When he's complaining about how we've done things the same way for 40 years and don't want to make changes, he also means me. But that's all right. I want to note, too, I think everybody here has a personal connection to someone who has been engaged in substance use. I don't think that there's a person on earth who's not connected in some way, shape, or form with our friends, our family members, our neighbors, our coworkers, our peers. And so I think that it's really important that we're all here and that we're all supporting this same goal. Now, if you'll excuse me just a second, I lost my speech.
She's underwriting the next deal right now.
I'm working on it. We're trying. It's an honor to be here on behalf of the Michigan State Housing Development Authority to celebrate today's groundbreaking with all of you. At MSHDA, we invest in quality, safe, affordable, and supportive housing that strengthens communities. Wellspring Apartments will soon bring that work into focus in a very powerful way. MSHDA is proud to support this project through an award of low-income housing tax credits, and we always need more. And other critical investments that take a bold step towards health-centered community development. Michigan is still 119,000 housing units short of demand. And so it's exciting to know that this project will soon make 60 new units of permanent supportive housing and 12 townhomes available to families earning less than 60% of area median income. This represents the kind of comprehensive, community-driven housing solution our state needs more of. By pairing permanent supportive housing with recovery-focused services and affordable housing units for families, Wellspring will soon offer residents the stability and dignity that they deserve as they work towards rebuilding their lives. This model of long-term recovery housing they've created ensures more individuals and families will have the chance to break the cycle of addiction and to rebuild their lives. Today marks far more than the turning of soil. It represents renewed hope. And when complete, these homes will be a lifeline for those in need, a foundation for stronger families, and provide more affirmation that quality, safe, stable housing is essential to good health. To my fellow partners who believed in this vision and overcame 40 years of bureaucracy and have worked tirelessly to get here today, I and MSHDA could not be more proud to be a partner on this journey with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to introduce the Oakland County Executive, Dave Coulter, who, as you heard, has been on the ride with us over a couple of different jobs. And he's hung in there and has been a big supporter and champion for getting this done. Dave?
Great to see you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's been a while. I'm getting old. Hillary Clinton was right about a lot of things. It takes a village, and that's why you got so many speakers here today, because not one person or one entity could do this. It really does take a village. And I want to give you, well, let me first of all share with you who's in my village. The Oakland County leadership that's here, Khadijah and Kyle from our housing department, raise your hand. And Leanne Stafford is over there too. They're the people that make it happen for us. Also, I couldn't do anything without my Board of Commissioners, and I know Lenny Taylor, Commissioner Taylor is here somewhere. There she is right up front. Thank you, Lenny. But a little bit of the background for me in this. I met a couple people about a decade ago that were very influential in helping me understand the importance of this. You've already heard about Lisa and Ken Daniels, and I'm so glad to see Lisa here. They have, like many people, a tragic story of losing a loved one to opioid addiction and overdose, and they have been champions of this ever since. They're the ones that initially taught me about Andy's place in Jackson, and that's why I'm so excited to see Judge Hoffman here, because he is the guy from that judicial side that said, this is different. We need to treat this different. And one of the things, Judge, that you taught me was, you know, in Ferndale we have a sobriety court, and there's a lot of sobriety courts around the state. And so there was an assumption back in the day that if you treated people in substance use disorders the same as you do alcoholism, that you could affect it the same way. And what Judge told me is that what they saw over time is it doesn't resolve the same. It takes longer. The process, and I'm not a medical person, but the processes that happen to your brain in substance use are, again, a layperson, more difficult to overcome than alcoholism. It takes longer. It takes more supportive services and a longer period of time to get you into sobriety. And that's why sobriety courts are great, but we need substance use treatment programs and then a place that people can go to get all the wraparound services. So that's what's going to tackle substance use disorders in our state. So I couldn't be more excited. I was the mayor back then. I had no idea I would ever be county executive. But again, working with our Board of Commissioners and the leaders here, we started a housing trust fund so that we could do financing for projects just like this. So excited. And we're doing them all across the county. This isn't a Southfield need or a Ferndale need or a Holly need or a... all across Oakland County and all across the state, in communities rich and poor, black and white. The need is there. The need is real. And so that's why Cinnaire has been awesome. They're doing these projects all over the state of Michigan, and I want to do more here. But first and foremost, we're finally kicking off on this one, and I couldn't be more proud. They didn't give me a magic wand when I got this job, so things don't always happen quickly, but if you're persevere and you're determined and you're doing what's right, they eventually come to fruition. And so today's a very exciting day for me and for everybody who's put so much work into this project. So happy to be a part of it and happy to be here today and happy for your leadership. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Man, his energy's something, isn't it?
Y'all are lucky. I worked with some others, and they're like, it's a good day today, and we're trying to work really hard. We're going to make a difference to support all our people. Really good. Yeah. Next, the Mayor of Southfield, Ken Siver.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ken.
Well, good morning. What a great day this is. The weather has blessed us. I stand before you in a dual role. Besides being mayor of the city of Southfield, I am also the chairman of the Southfield nonprofit neighborhood corporation. This organization principally runs 3 low-income senior housing, 508 units. We are shortly breaking ground, as the Congresswoman indicated, on 60 more units of subsidized senior housing. We are also heavily involved in this project to the tune of $1.225 million. The Southfield nonprofit sometimes is maligned by people who don't understand the role that this incredible organization does. With me today are a number of our board members. We all serve as volunteers. No one is compensated. I want to point them out. First of all, Vicki Perry, Carlene Tucker, Melva Allen, Ari Mandelbaum. I hope I didn't leave anybody out. Oh, yes, Charles Sorey. Sorry, Charles. There are a lot of people here. The thing that's Laura Gilbert, a former board member who contributed a lot because she has a great deal of housing knowledge. So this is always a very tough job because, especially in a group this large, I even made notes to make sure that I didn't forget anybody. Before I go on about the nonprofit, let me also introduce council people that are here, starting with Council President Ari Mandelbaum, Council Pro Tem Charles Hicks, Councilman Dan Brightwell, Councilwoman Yolanda Haynes, and again, so we have a nonprofit that's dedicated to housing, especially for set needs in our community. But we wouldn't be able to do this without our city administration and our planning department. So Fred Zorn, I always call him my boss. John McRena, our deputy city administrator. We have a phenomenal police and fire department. So we have Chief Elvin Barron, Deputy Chief Jeff Jagalski, Deputy Chief Aaron Ugly, Fire Chief Joey Thornton. Okay, and then I have Terry Crow from the Planning Department, invaluable assistance. Tom Payson from the Planning Department. Community Relations, where is he? David. Okay. Again, as Dave said, it's a team effort. A lot of people are involved in this. This is a really tremendous amount of collaboration. And I also, a woman I've worked who is, and I know Fred will probably talk about her, Janae from MiSide. If you ever need a housing advocate who is, can I say this, ferocious? That is Janae. She, her persistence, and that's what this whole thing is about. 7 years. This is about persistence. It's about the collaboration. So I thank you all. We are speaking from the city standpoint. We realize the need. Speaking from the Southfield Nonprofit Neighborhood Corporation standpoint, this is part of the good that we do in the city of Southfield. Thank you.
Next, I'll introduce your city administrator, Fred Zorn. Fred and I, we go way back when he was in Taylor, and they pulled off this amazing purchase of all these really rough units down there. The city took it on. It was like a national model. He was a big part of all of that happening, and that's where I met him. And to see that he was here in Southfield when we brought this in, I said, oh, we're going to be in good hands, because he's a master of strategy. And he worked this really, really well. Fred?
Thank you, Mark. Thank you. It's an extraordinary day as part of the Southfield story. I want to just give you a few metrics. The site we're on now immediately, this is the location of the 12 townhomes, running just a little under $400,000 each to build. And then the 2 4-story buildings are going to be just to the west of us. The site we're on is property that the Southfield Nonprofit Neighborhood Corporation has been assembling pretty much since the mid-'80s. We've completed this entire site of Hooper. Few more metrics. The total development cost about $33 million. One of the most complex capital stacks. And to Janae Mallett with MiSide, and I was fortunate enough to work as a consultant for Southwest Solutions in the early 90s. For about a 3-year period, we did some drug elimination work for them, got to know one of their first tax credit deals, the Rademacher house and that. But so here's some info on the from MSHDA. We have MSHDA tax exempt financing. We have low income housing tax credit equity. Those two are about $14 million. The State Department of Health opioid settlement, $2 million. And I want to say originally we were in for $1 million. When we started getting cost overruns, Janae went to them. We pleaded a case. Thank you for hearing us out. Another $2 million of these federal dollars coming into our local economy, which I'm just ecstatic about that. Oakland County, $2.6 million. With that housing trust, the county 10 years ago didn't have resources like that. Today we do. It is such a different thought process that I can't tell you how excited I am about that. Mayor Siver mentioned the Southfield nonprofit, $1.2 million. Solar equity, general partner capitals, about 1.4. And then deferred fees in our developer, 7.8. So by the time you cash flow this, our total development, about a $33.2 million project being invested. And I can't speak to, we originally started this. This was the journey of how do we finance the renovation of an old school, John Grace, and that was the 60 units Mayor Siver just mentioned. We hope to break ground in the next 2.5, 3 months. The old school's 18 units and another 42 units. On our way to that journey, we stumbled into this. Janae said, Fred, I'd like you to look at this. We were looking at location in Farmington Hills. The infrastructure costs were too great to make this happen. And we started looking, and if you would have told me on first surface, wait a minute, I'm going to look at an opioid facility. As an undergrad, I interned in 52nd District Probation. I hated the job, 20 hours a week one summer, and God bless those people who do that work, because it is not easy. And frankly, being a male, they gave me all the cases below 8 Mile in Oakland County. And that was just a very different experience for me. But I learned this. I didn't enjoy the work. You're trying to get through college. We all need to hustle a few bucks where we can. So when Janae's pitching this, I'm thinking, I just didn't see it. Mark mentioned what we dealt with at the Villages at Taylor. I mean, before we closed on that, ATF that came in, closed, guns, prostitution, drug use. We've cleaned that up. It is safe. We demolished some of the units and invested. So that's the story, how this journey happened. I got my police, fire chief, mayor, my council members to go and tour this site. I think I did 5 trips, and electeds took 4. Melissa Menamici was with us. It was, I'm thinking, how do I sell this? But we went and saw, we touched, and the supportive housing. And that's what MiSide, formerly Southwest Solutions, is a master at. What they do with mental health counseling and other supportive services, that's what's going to make this work. There are plenty of places that can house people. Now, Judge Hoffman was the one, as Mark indicated, who educated on the recovery process, what it takes for our brains to reprogram and be reconditioned with the right support, putting people back where they're getting the support, the mental health counseling, obviously the substance abuse counseling. All of the referrals at Andy's place, and as will happen here, are by court order. You know, you watch the success, and I'm not sure if Mike Hirst is speaking, but what I saw there were just incredibly life-changing stories. And how do we put people and ensure and restore that dignity and give them the opportunity to be productive people? So I'll stop there because I can be a bit of a storyteller, and this is an incredible story. I too want to thank my staff. I want to thank my city attorney. The city of Southfield has committed a pilot payment, a payment in lieu of taxes. That takes leadership from your city council to understand what that means. And when cities do this, and I know Mark had a difficult time when I was researching files in Southfield on another property, that we worked it out, but I could understand where his cynicism came from. As I was reading this file, I was like, dear God, this could not have been a pleasant experience. Nope. But his development there is beautiful, successful, but council that understood what that meant and were willing to make that sacrifice. Not only that, part of the project is rebuilding this road, new water, sewer, 8-inch water line to make sure that the property is properly served. I'm going to tease you with a future announcement. I had conversations last week with Oakland County's Parks and Rec Director. We have been engaged in a great project on what we call Project 9 Line, a bike trail all across South Oakland County. Oakland County is also increasing its footprint in our park system. The investment in Beechwoods Park has been phenomenal. So here's my teasing announcement. The County Parks Commission is going to commit resources to a Blueways path between Southfield, Farmington Hills, Bingham, Beverly Hills, and Birmingham. We have been very focused on this 2-mile stretch. The area we're in right now, we refer to the Rouge Corridor. There's a 72-inch storm line that breaks off. But at the Beechwood, we're looking to have a canoe, kayak delivery. That's part of this plan. We have the path as part of recovery. People will be able to have an engagement with nature too, that for a lot of folks, maybe they never had that opportunity. And if that brings with that healing, that's one more tool in this. So we're excited about that. We're so grateful to Executive Coulter and his leadership and the resources. I have one final comment. As we depart here after the groundbreaking, I'd like you to grab a sandwich, but look at the storyboards from the Southfield nonprofit. When I got here, we were losing $170,000 a year. We have stopped that financial loss. We have stabilized our financial position. We have put together some of the most creative partnerships. Our partnership with MiSide, our partnership with a private developer, Lark, what we've done with Habitat for Humanity. We have done some amazing things, and I couldn't be more happy and pleased to work with such a group. I do want to recognize Linda Staten, who's our clerical support, and I think our attorney, Joe Kavir, is here for the nonprofit. We've had our uphill battles, and I want to recognize a good counselor to me, our deputy city clerk. Thank you. So I've said a lot. My DDA director, Molly, here. And as you're looking at those storyboards. Who did you say? Yep. I need to recognize my Director of Economic and Business Development, Rochelle Freeman, and her deputy, Sarah Mullally, who put all of this together. The mayor plugged Terry Crow. What we've done with this RUD is, when the Home Builders Association is trying to exempt local units of government from certain things, they need to look at what we've put here in place in parking in our ordinances, the modifications. When I look at the list of the 14 things MML is suggesting for new legislation, we've already done them all. We did them all a few years ago. That's what leadership's about, and I'm excited to be here.
Thanks, Fred. That's hit you. Yep. Next, I'd like to the development partner put this all together. The president, CEO of MiSide, along with Janae, Sean DeFore. Good to see you. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I see you all baking in the sun, and I'm feeling my head getting shiny, so I'm going to try to keep this short because I know we're all warm. I'm Sean DeFore, the president CEO of MiSide, and as many people have already said, this is a very special day for us, and this is a project that has been in the works for at least the last 7 years. I think I had hair when we started. I was 40 pounds lighter. I didn't have a kid in college, and here we are today. But this has been a labor of love. What a lot of people don't know, I started my career as a drug treatment therapist in Oakland County, working with adults and adolescents who were struggling with addiction. I did that for about 10 years of my career. And what I know is that folks who are struggling with this particularly insidious disease need a stable place to live. Every instability that they have is a risk that jeopardizes their recovery. Having stable housing is an important part of being able to help people find recovery who are struggling with this disease. The other is having a community of support, a community of people who are like-minded and struggling similarly to find recovery. And what makes this development particularly special is that it brings together that community along with the supports and along with affordable housing to create the stability that will be the foundation for strong recoveries from this disease. And as you heard from everybody already, this disease does not choose. It does not discriminate based on race or income or anything else. And I bet you that every one of you that are here has either been affected by it personally, has a loved one who's been affected by it, or has watched our community struggle with this growing crisis of addiction. So we are extremely proud at MiSide to bring together a couple areas of our expertise, behavioral health and affordable housing, to bring this project to life. It's absolutely special. I do want to thank a few people, starting with my development team at MiSide, Janae Eisenmonger, who, as you heard, is probably the most tenacious person I've ever met. This project would not have happened were it not for her and her supporting staff, Tabitha Little, Tim Thorland, Yeah, and I'm forgetting a couple others of my team, but they worked really hard to make this happen. I also want to thank our partners at the City of Southfield, Khadijah, Madiha, who couldn't be here with us today, and Leanne, along with Cinnaire. They're one of the major reasons the funding for this project came together. I also want to thank our partners that will continue to provide supports in the facility. CNS Healthcare, Lighthouse are all partners that are going to be embedded within the Wellspring Recovery Housing Project, providing supports. I want to also want to thank Fred Zorn, Mayor Siver, and Oakland County Executive Dave Coulter for supporting this project from the very beginning. And most importantly, and I don't want to steal your MC role from you, Mark, but I want to thank Mike Hirst, who is the founder of Andy's Place, which is the recovery housing model in Jackson, the first of its kind in the state that this Wellspring Recovery Housing Project is modeled off of. To have the courage to bring something like that to life was an inspiration for us at MiSide to do the same thing here in Southeast Michigan. So we can't thank you enough. And I'd love to bring you up so you can tell a little bit more of that story. But thank you, all of you, for being a part of this.
Come on, Mike, you've been introduced. Now, really, there are two families here that had very horrible, tragic losses within their family. It's Ken and Lisa Daniels, their son Jamie, Mike and his family, and the loss of their son Andy. So many people a lot of times get lost in the grief and the guilt of all of that, but they have turned that into a powerhouse of advocacy for doing something about the problem. So, Mike Hirst, up to you.
Thank you, Mark, and appreciate everybody that's here today. You know, we've had tremendous cooperation from all sides of government, local, state, federal. Everybody's playing on the same team. We looked at this thing as not a competition, but as a collaboration. And everybody's got assets, and we put them all together and made some big changes with MSHDA, and you know, real proud of that, because those were changes for the better. Obviously, I'm Andy's dad. I had the unfortunate situation of watching a perfectly normal young man at 16, athlete, track, football, basketball, great student. By the time he was 19, he was running downhill in just this horrible situation that we call substance use disorder. Andy got started just like anybody else, or many of the other kids at the time. Oxycontin was big at the time. You know, that's not a street drug. That's something the doctors prescribed. So it appeared to be safe to the kids. And you know, the little community that I live in, I had of Grass Lake, Michigan, a small little rural community. There were 17 young kids using heroin in that community 15 years ago. So I knew how big the problem was. I knew how big it was going to get, and I watched my son go to rehab 3 different times, and I watched him fail 3 different times. And I watched him fail within the first 2 weeks. The last time he went to jail for 3 months, when he got out of jail, you know, I said, "What are you going to do now, Andy?" He said, "Well, I can tell you one thing, Dad, I'll never use that drug ever again." And I thought, wow, you know, he's a pretty smart kid. He's really got conviction, you know. Put him back to work 3 months after he got out of jail. A few weeks into work, he said, "Dad, I don't feel like going to work today." I said, "What's the matter, Andy?" I don't feel good, Dad. Really depressed. I said, "We got to go to work." I said, "I'll pick you up after work and we'll go ahead and do something fun. We'll really have a good time." I said, "We might even jump on an airplane and call Mom from Tampa Bay." And he didn't find any humor in that. You know, 40 minutes before I was supposed to pick him back up, I get a call. They said, "You need to come over to the job site right away." So I get there, and there's Andy on the ground. They got the paddles on him. They're trying to force air into his lungs. They're trying to save him. I had to watch that for 30 minutes as a parent. It's something I don't want anybody to ever have to do, because that videotape will play in your head every single day. So after he passed away, I gave his eulogy at the funeral. And I invited everybody that I could think of that had anything to do with drugs, that were using drugs, anybody in that school, any young person. I had them all there. And we talked about it at his funeral. Talked about his life, but we really talked what we wanted to do next in our community. and started giving seminars and educating the general public and educating myself to no end. And I remember I was at one of the rehabs, and I said, you know, I'm not sure what's going on with this opiate problem. I said, you know, my son was a really smart kid. You know, he never got in trouble a day in his life. And he's been here 3 times. He's relapsed within the first 2 weeks, every time he's gotten out of here. And they said, we don't treat him long enough, Mike. I said, unfortunately, there's not much we can do once they leave here. So that inspired me to think about something we can do. And, you know, in all my travels and talking to so many different addiction specialists, I got a real idea what's going on in the brain. You know, I know the general public thinks that, hey, just stop. You know, all you got to do is stop. Can't do that. Can't you do that? Well, no, you can't. Because the same mechanism that drives you to eat food, to drink water, has been hijacked, multiplied 1,000 times when you become under the influence of drugs and the addiction that it causes. You know, just for a brief little story to make you kind of understand that a little bit. We've all been on a diet before. I could be on one right now. But we go out to, somebody says, hey, do you want to go out to eat? And you say, sure, I'd love to go out to eat, but I tell you what, I'm on a diet, so I'm only going to eat light. Well, you get there and you sit down and everybody orders a steak, baked potato, loaded baked potato. You go, yeah, I've been pretty good on my diet. That looks pretty good. I think I'll just cheat on my diet a little bit. And you do that, and pretty soon you're full. You're about as full as you could be. Lady comes around with the, anybody want dessert? And you go, oh, absolutely not. I'm totally full. She puts that little dessert tray in front of your face, you know, that one with the raspberry pie on it, the apple pie, the strawberry shortcake. You know, maybe I will have a piece of that. And then you eat that piece. And you walk away from there, and now you're really full. And you know what else? You're mad at yourself because you said you weren't going to do it. You got a smart enough mind that said, oh, I got the willpower. I'm not going to eat a big dinner. I'm not going to eat dessert afterwards. But you did it anyway. Because that same mechanism in your brain is what drives the substance use disorder. And these people, once they become addicted, they need that drug in their system like you need a glass of water. And they'll do anything to get it, just like you would if you were dehydrated. So we thought about, you know, what are we going to do? We got to have long-term recovery. We got to do that. Well, that's expensive. Yeah, there are some places in this country you can do that. Really expensive. Yeah, the 1%ers, they get the opportunity to do that. What about the rest of us? What about the rest of us? So we created this facility at Andy's place so anybody can go. You don't have to be a 1%er, regardless of economic income. Very proud of that aspect of that job. And, you know, we're seeing some amazing results. We have people that have started businesses. We have Henry Ford Allegiance there. Anybody that's in there, they have a starting position job at Henry Ford Allegiance right off the bat if they want it. Many of them work at plenty of, some aren't ready to go to work yet. They're taking online classes that are provided for free. We have financial classes going on. You know how important it is for somebody to understand the financial system? I mean, that is so key. You know, what is an interest rate? How does that work? You know, anybody who doesn't know the answers to some of the basic financial questions are, you know, subject to predatory lenders every single day. So I teach them about money. Teach them about how money works, how to make your money work for you instead of just working for the money. And we've had some amazing stories there. You know, I have one I'll tell you a quick story that we have one young man there that he was doing a lot of work on the side. He, you know, his income was getting a little large there, so he had to move out. I helped him start a business. He was a lawn care maintenance and a tree cutter by trade. I went to the local bank in town. I said, I want to get this guy a loan. You know, we could have just bought him the equipment, but that's not how I operate. So I said, look, we're going to get a loan. This is the way everybody else would have to do this. So we go to the bank. They said, oh my God, you've seen his credit rating, Mike? There's no possible way he can borrow any money. I don't care if you co-sign or not. We got rules. Well, I said, talking to the president of Southern Michigan Bank, I said, I'll tell you what, John. You know what we're trying to do at Andy's place. You know what we're trying to do in this community. You know what we're trying to do in this state. So can we get the bank to help us out a little bit and join on this program? He said, I'll call you back. Calls me back. He says, all right, I want you to come down, bring him with you. You're going to sign some papers. You don't need to know about the deal, but it's happening today. That's the kind of community support that you need. That guy got that loan, and you know what? He's so proud about when he goes to make that payment for that loan, he takes his whole family with him when he goes to the bank. He pays cash. And John said it's the cutest thing to watch, but you know, everybody is so proud of him. The bank tellers clap when he comes in. He restored his dignity. He restored his self-worth, and he restored his self-esteem. And by God, we're going to support him for the rest of his life. Not in a financial manner, but in a manner where I keep people calling him to increase his business. And he calls me, he says, man, what do I do with this business? I said, you're going to have to hire employees. I'm the kind of connection he needs. And there'll be people here that need that same connection from you people here to show them the way. People are not ignorant. People are not stupid. They may not be educated in certain things, but that doesn't mean anything is wrong with their brain. And too often we try to treat somebody who doesn't know some of the basic skill as somebody who is dumb. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, they're not dumb. They're just not educated in that part. So we see families over there. Amazing stories. You think of a young lady, and you know, obviously there's fathers there also. But you think of a mother over there. She's trying to climb the biggest mountain that you could ever climb. Only about 10% of people are getting up over that mountain, by the way. And she doesn't have her kids. What kind of mental pressure is put on her on a daily basis when her kids aren't there? She doesn't know where they're at. The first day of school, every single holiday, every family gathering, no kids. It's got to play awful hard on a mother's mind. And you know, when we were first doing Andy's phase 1, I said, what about the moms? You know, and their kids. And their CPS says, you know what, if you provide security in a nice safe place, we're going to let them have their kids back. I said, that's awesome. You know, it's like seeing kids being kids and parents being parents again for the first time in a long time. And some of these parents, first time they've been a parent to that child in forever. And it's really amazing to see them come together. You know, we have a big swing set and a playground there. I had to jump on the parents a little bit. I said, hey, I see your kids out there playing on that beautiful playground. I don't see you out there. Well, there's nothing for us to play on. You sit right there. Your job right now is to sit on that bench, and every time that kid comes down that slide and says, watch this, Mom, or watch this, Dad, you acknowledge that. That's what that kid needs. So anyway, we're just ecstatic that this other project's going. There's another project in Virginia that's copying the same model. You know, when my son passed away about 3 days before, he says to me, we're talking. He says, you know, Dad, I just don't have a purpose in life. I said, well, of course you got a purpose in life, Andy. Everybody does. He said, what's mine? Well, I didn't have a snappy answer for him. I didn't have anything to say. I said, well, you know, you probably haven't found it yet, you know, but we all have a purpose. But he was at rock bottom at that time. No self-worth, no self-esteem. He said, I'm a burden on you and Mom and the family and everybody. And I said, no, you're not. He said, no, I am, Dad. No purpose for me. He died 3 days later. Well, after he died, Andy's Angels was formed. Seminars were given across the state of Michigan at a high school and elementary school level on the importance that we understand what's going on with all the opiates and the pills, the Vicodin, the Valium, the Oxycontin, and how that worked on the brain. And from that, Andy's place was formed. From that, this place was formed. So I like to say this. He thought he didn't have a purpose. But man, his purpose was pretty big, because without his life and the many other young men and women who have passed away ahead of him and brought light to this horrible tragedy that's happening to our country, all their lives, all his life, from out of that, we found a way. We found a way that people said was not possible to get people better off heroin. Once you are on heroin, it's it for life. You're done. Well, guess what? We have so many success stories now, I quit telling them. They seem to be every day for me now. So, you know, he had a really big purpose, and all those other kids had a really big purpose too. And you know what? You know what we're using that purpose for? Not just to get somebody affected by substance use disorder better, but we want their kids to have a new life. We want to stop generational poverty, substance abuse, and homelessness that go hand in hand. And we have that opportunity. We have that opportunity in Jackson, we have that opportunity right here, and we have that opportunity all across this great nation. So thank you very much for supporting this project, and God bless you all.
Mike. All right. I think we've named just about every single person that's attended here today, except I have one group, which is 32 years ago when I started this organization. I had no idea I'd be standing out here doing this, that's for sure. But the only reason I'm here is because I have this great group of team members, which are back here in the back. If you raise your hands, that's who we need to thank. So with that, I want to thank everybody for coming. We're going to throw some dirt now. So everybody is going to throw dirt. Come on over here. Get in the dirt.
Right, raise your shovels. And toss. All right, well done.